We don't know for sure where Ron is, and Ethan and I have already kind of got into a nice little discussion about the event of today, not yesterday, but today. So with that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and roll this down here. And this was that trailer I was telling, wait a minute, let me make sure so I don't screw up, Mid-Valley Drones about, because he liked the thumbnail that I made. So cool.
Yeah, looks good.
I was telling Jim Boyd I got like a Munsters vibe from that, like the old Munsters, and it's kind of stuck in my head, so that's why I went with it. Let me roll through the beginning of the chat real quick here. We can see Mid-Valley was in here. That's where he came up with that. Ray Kelly came in early. John Olson, Mid-Valley came back in. Then SoCal was telling us, we were all talking about what we had for dinner. Because John was telling us spaghetti and meatballs, and then I was like, I had roast beef noodles with salad. And then SoCal had rolled tacos SoCal style. So then when it was everybody got into this, drone shots, good to have you in the house. Ray's back in. Ethan telling everybody hi. Like I said, if y'all know where Ron is, go get him and drag him in here because we thought he was going to be here. John said he was going to be late. We don't know for sure where. But the big thing that everybody was talking about, let's see, I cannot move tonight. Went to Texas Roadhouse, ate too many rolls.
I know the rolls at the Texas Roadhouse are dangerous.
Well, and then he says he had the brownie and ice cream for dessert. That's one of those snooze meals.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, exactly. I'm gonna watch this movie.
Yep. Yeah, I'm watching I'm watching Sam Burns' video of him FPV flying here.
Oh, yeah.
Looking good.
Oh, barbecued chicken at the Burns house. That's pretty cool. Okay, so, and I'm going to share the screen for this. This is the discussion that we were talking about before we went live. Oh, God, where did I put it? No. Down here. Yes, here. And I don't want that one. Which one? I want the one before that. Because this is the terms. Like I was reading about this, about what all you can get with it.
Oh, for the GoPro 9, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the whole year deal, and we were talking about, because, okay, here at the very top, you can see, okay, GoPro Hero 9 Black, more everything, more pixels, more screens, more battery life, $349 if you get a year subscription to GoPro, which is kind of like what DJI
Insurance.
Refresh, like DJI Refresh Care.
Yeah, that's almost exactly like that.
Yeah, so. But what Ethan's been told and what's going around the forums and stuff is if you get this deal for $100 off, then you can keep it for a month. So you only pay like $6 for that month. Mm-hmm. And then so you basically be paying like $456 plus tax. So like $375. And what do you think of that, Ethan? What do you think?
I think that's a pretty good deal. To be honest with you.
And they give you an SD card.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. If you were an FPV pilot and you plan on using this on your FPV drone, I would definitely get that subscription because then you're getting basically 2 free cameras, no questions asked. So
yeah, here we go. Subscribe to GoPro, up to 50% off at GoPro.com. Total camera replacement, unlimited cloud storage. Let's see, learn more.
Yep. Now I think it's great. I think it's going to be a great camera. I don't know if I will get one. I probably will, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I want to see some of the reviews come out and see how the image quality is. But because looking at the specs as it is right now, so we'll just totally disregard the 5K for a second. There are other specs that it has. The 4K with the bit rating and whatnot is no better than the 8, and it's no better than the Osmo Action or the Insta360. So I think it's probably going to look. I'm not quite sure. We'll see. I think it's going to look great because GoPro always does a great job. But I personally think their colors are a little oversaturated for my flavor. But
I'm not going to deny that because because we know that the people from GoPro kind of helped out with Skydio, like Billy was telling us about at that time.
All right. So I'm watching the live feed. It says there's an error occurred on the playback. Are we still live there?
Everything I'm seeing shows live. It might be. Let me look at let's see at the actual page. Are we still live, folks? Are we crazy or are we not crazy? Let's see. Let me go.
Maybe it's just mine's locked up.
Excuse me. We're still in the fog and
there it goes.
Smoke and craziness.
It was my end. It was my end.
Oh, he just did that to scare me. He just did that to throw me off track because we were talking about.
Yeah.
And here we go. And someone I invited because of the subject matter for tonight of what you might want on a future drone and what's available on drones. As in Jim, Captain has arrived. The captain is here. So I'm glad to have you, Jim.
Right. So one thing I want to talk about is like the 5K and the 4K and all that stuff.
All right, go.
So if you notice, like as the cameras have gotten better, one of the key things aside from resolution is increasing the bit rate, right? So if you look at the old Mavic Pro, the original Mavic Pro, it was 4K, but it only, I think, cranked out at like 60 or 80 megabits top end. So then all these newer cameras are coming out that can do 100 megabits per second, which is like the standard for 4K right now. Well, the specs, if I'm reading it correctly, for the new GoPro Hero 9, it'll do 5K 30, but it's still only 100 megabits per second. So, and technically, it's just basically like blowing the 4K image up and adding pixels in it without gaining any quality, which isn't a really great way to do it. But for example, if you had a camera like one of the DSLR cameras that can do the high-end 1080p, well, these cameras that can do a 1080p at 100 megabits per second, it looks really, really, really good. So it's just something to think about.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just trying to greet people and start stuff up while you were talking.
Yep.
We got a bunch of people come rolling in. What, Jim? Go for it.
What am I going to get over the Hero 8? Because I just bought the Hero 8 for $350. Then I had to buy the media mod so I could plug in the charger, and if I wanted to transfer video, so that was $80.
Uh-oh, he muted himself. Jim, you're muted. What happened? You're muted. Let me see if I unmuted him.
It hates my Yeti mic. But this thing, when it falls over, it'll crack the lens. So you have to buy that glass protection
right
on it.
Yeah, that's one thing they never. So the 9, I personally feel the 9 is what the 8 should have been. It's addressing all the mistakes they made with the 8.
That's what we're talking about. He was like, it was overdue. So, but do you still? Hey, Kenny, good to see you, man. Glad to have you in the house. Hey, deliver my GoPro first, please.
Right.
Okay, deliver my GoPro first. Not, I didn't order one. I'm just kidding. You know, I still like sleeping on the bed.
Right. Yeah, you're probably still sleeping on the bed from that MacBook, right?
Nope. I'm actually still in the bed because I'm taking this computer and I'm going to redo it and give it to my son and grandson.
Yeah.
My son needs the webcam and the computer for online classes, and of course my grandson wants to play games. So
right,
works out well for everybody. And I get to keep the MacBook and kind of be okay.
Yeah. So I think the new GoPro Hero 9, I think it's a good deal, especially if you're an FPV pilot. You know, you got interchangeable lenses, so you can snap on the ND filter. If you smash the lens, you can replace it. So, and with that lens that they got, who knows what they'll come out with? They might even come out with like an anamorphic lens or something. So it's pretty neat.
But I still think that's kind of steep, though, man. So you're saying just go 1 month and pay the $6 for the month fee and then stop.
So this is what I would say. Look at what you're going to be like. What kind of footage you're going to be doing with it. If you really, really want like top end high quality, I would wait for the reviews to come out to compare the 4K of the 9 versus the 4K of the 8, because I have a feeling it's going to be very close. They might do some extra post-processing, like sharpen it up or change the colors a little bit, but the actual quality, I think, is going to be the same according to the specs. But, you never know until you actually see it. The 5K 30, though, it's going to be That's a tough sell for me because I can't tell the difference between 5K and 4K or even 6K and 4K. You know what I mean? Right. Until unless you zoom in on it, that's the only way I could tell.
And how's that going to make your 4K any better?
Oh, I was just
when you downsize it, right?
Wait. Let me drag you over. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying, if you're shooting in 5K, I'm assuming because you can only, you're going to have to down-res it to 4K to put it up on YouTube anyway.
Right. So technically, well, Steve, this is the thing where it's odd about the camera is that according to the specs I read today, even when it's shooting in 5K, it's still only 100 megabits per second. So you're not adding any quality. You're just adding pixels. So I'm not quite sure if it would be a difference if you downsampled it.
Does the video is the stabilization better? Is it noticeably better?
So it's better, but if you look close, it's more cropped in. So anytime, and that's just the nature of electronic stabilization. The more stabilization you want or you need to have, the more it's going to crop in. You're not getting around that.
So that's why they want that big, they want to say 5K. So when you end up with 1080, you're not that mad.
Well, yeah. And also technically the only real way to do it well without really cropping is to, one, use a larger sensor, or two, have a sensor that moves. So,
but it says that it's what is it, 23.8?
I didn't even read what the sensor size was.
I think that's what it was saying, that the sensor size was like a 23.8.
That's close to a full frame sensor.
Let me see. Okay, I'm going to actually go back to GoPro. What do you think of it, John? What do you think? You want one?
You know what? For that price, I'll do with what I have. It's just too expensive for me, honestly.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
I was listening to you guys because I was on the way home. It was a very urgent store visit. I had to get ice cream. I had to go to I did have to go to the store for urgent reasons, but
I totally get that one.
Yeah, well, at the last minute, yeah. Anyway,
and it has to be a particular kind of ice cream too.
But I was listening to what you guys were saying, and you know what? For the what did you guys say? $339 if you buy the GoPro. $350 if you buy the GoPro subscription. That's great for FPV guys. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of surprised they're doing the replacement thing. How often do people break these things? I guess it must be pretty often enough for them to consider offering that. Because before, Ethan, really, there was no way to get a replacement unless you kind of went the Best Buy route. And you got that Best Buy Geek Squad warranty.
John, this is so flat that every time it falls forward, it's hitting that lens.
Man, I didn't say anything about getting two cameras for the price of one.
Yeah, look, it seems like a really great deal. But as for me, I'm probably going to pass on it. I'm fine with what I got.
Yeah, I'm not getting one either. I'm just.
Ray Kelly was asking about two cameras for the price of one. The subscription. So the GoPro Hero 9, GoPro is offering a package right now. So you get the GoPro Hero 9, and if you for $100 off, so $350. If you get the year subscription at 50% off. Which what we say is like $60 or something.
It was $60.
You get two replacement cameras, no questions asked. If you destroy one.
Yeah, you can just send it in, and it doesn't have to be damaged either. You can just say, "Hey, the side's got a scratch on it. Give me another."
I wonder if you could gut one, and then send the case back in, and then get another one.
I don't know if you get. Yeah, I'll do a light. Let me do this share again. It doesn't. I could have sworn. I don't know where it was. I saw the sensor size was 23.8. I don't know why, but it's showing. Go for it.
Got one and put the old GoPro in that case.
Right.
Send it in.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I really like these Cine Whoops or these tiny drones that they're putting a stripped naked GoPro on. I think they're just a lot of fun to fly, and the footage is awesome on them.
I was talking to Ken. Are you building the Shen drones thick?
I already have it.
You already did it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch up and be polite. Sorry.
I'm just scared to death to fly it with the expensive camera on it.
Okay, I was going to say, are you in love or what?
It flies great. Like I've put my old Canon like regular mirrored camera on it. That's, it's one of the older ones. It only does 1080p, but and that, with a heavy lens, it flies at no problem, like full acro and everything. And with the 8 motors, with the 8 blades, the yaw authority is like super good on it. But it flies fine. It's just I'm scared to death to put an expensive camera on it.
I have a quick question before we go into. I got some new stuff I wanted to show before we go into like the future of drones. Could the smoke here affect the sensor to the point of making it look like really grainy, or have I just damaged the sensor?
No, that's like the haze in Florida. Yeah, it can.
And I mean, it's because there was one day I flew at the lake in the Mavic Pro, and it looked like really, really rough, and I mean, not bad. There was clarity to it, but it was really grainy, and you could see the smoke like lingering everywhere. And I was just curious. I need to fire it up and go see, but it's still so crappy smoke here. I can't really, and I don't want to take it out and possibly damage it in the smoke.
I wouldn't think so, to be honest with you. But I mean, yesterday was our first clear day here in like 3 weeks.
We haven't had. Well, I had a couple of clear days there, and then ever since then, it's just been like I haven't seen the sun, but kind of like an outline. It doesn't even bright enough to make a hole in the sky.
Well, hopefully it'll stop because it rained mostly this morning around here. So almost all morning.
It's rained the past 2 days here. Yeah. But it's done nothing. It's done nothing to the smoke.
Huh.
Yeah, nothing. All right. This is kind of unique, so I wanted to share this. This is a news item that I found. Yes, here we go.
Yeah, I saw this.
Prison fears escape by drone, presumably because they've never seen a drone. That would be kind of that would be a big drone. Can you imagine?
Wow.
That is so stupid.
Well, I just so it would be like stupid drone tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to get that one in there. Next, let me close that one out.
Yeah, there was a prison back home in Maryland that made the news that a drone was dropping pot and cocaine and narcotics over the walls. But
yep, I've heard of that.
I had heard something similar to that one. This one, Jim might have a little. Yeah, here we go. A little more in
the prism.
No. This one. How to use drones for equipment monitoring and inspection. That's a pretty cool drone. I like that.
That looks like a Foxtech. Foxtech makes them so the arms plug in. It's pretty cool, actually.
Oh, very cool. So if like something, but can it fly if one of the motors dies or 2 of the motors die?
Yeah, well, one.
One. Oh, everything is one. What if one of the exact same size on the other side shuts down?
Well, then see, you're screwed, yeah, because you're flying clockwise, counterclockwise, yeah.
Okay. So, that was another, I thought unique point, and everybody's like, next, move on to the next one. Let's see. Oh, we did this one.
Are we talking about drone news? I've actually got a little drone news in my town.
Okay, give me a share if you have it, or do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. I got it up. I'll share it with you guys. I thought it was really cool. So you guys will appreciate this, I think. Let me see how to share this real quick. Untake the bookmarks part. Okay. So let me share screen. How do I choose a tab? Oh, there we go. I should know how to use this thing by now, but I don't.
I screw it up all the time.
Okay, here we go. So
I'm waiting. Oh, there it is.
All right, so this is my local PD, and check out what they got going. They were using this to monitor the traffic at an intersection a couple days ago. Look at them; they are all hooked up with a smart controller because they're trying to see, I guess, what they can do to improve the situation here in town. Because I guess it's gotten a little congested or something, and they're just trying to get an idea of how many vehicles are coming and.
For traffic.
Yep, it's for traffic. Yep, because we do have a problem as the town has grown, and so you can see this is one of the county's drones because our police department doesn't have their own drone. Apparently, this is UAV number 7. You can see it's listed there. So
they've got the smart controller and everything with that guy.
Yeah, they're all hooked up. They've got
that
the
looks
smart
like
control.
that looks like the Duel too, doesn't it?
Yep, and they did it right to the T. They've got they had FAA certified pilots there, probably Part 107. They got the Mavic 2 Enterprise up in there, so pretty cool, pretty cool. They were asking if anybody'd seen the drone. No, nobody's seen it, but
right.
I heard it. I swear I did. I heard it. Kept me awake all day long. I want to get my gun.
Anyway, very cool. They seem really enthusiastic about the drone and all that stuff. So very cool, very cool.
Yes,
always good. I actually left a comment. I said, I'm proud that the local PD used drones for good and showed that, because that's really something we need. It's really something we need.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good to have a good story about drones rather than a bad one.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that I've seen them just briefly as we've been driving down the coast over here. They're probably out there spotting sharks and stuff.
The sad thing is, guys, is the good stories don't get covered that much.
Oh yeah, as a friend of mine that I think he said his minor was in journalism. He said if it bleeds, it reads. So unfortunately,
if it bleeds, it reads.
And I was actually funny you would talk about that, because I go to one of my friends. I said, "Wow!" I said my town actually had brought in some Part 107 pilots, and I guess they were up there for 2 batteries worth because they did 2 flights. And I said, "How boring would that job have to be?" Right? Because all they did was put it up there and probably just let it sit. That's got to be like watching paint dry.
Right.
Because you as the drone pilot, you're not doing anything. That's like the most boring Part 107 flight I can think of to have to do. I mean, even real estate, at least you're trying to get a shot. They're just.
I do want to get
one up and count the cars.
I do want to get one point out there if I can. I don't want people out there that aren't able to fly FPV or just don't get the interest in FPV, like a lot of people, to think that it's that you're going to get left behind or anything. Because I hope the camera drones stay around, and I hope we don't have to. Just all go FPV to keep flying, because I actually have met some people that have just said, hey, FPV doesn't do the same thing for me it does for other people. And I just don't want people to think that, that that's a bad thing. That's cool too. I think there's still going to be, I see how everybody's kind of gravitating towards FPV right now, and I know that there's going to be some hardcore people just like analog and digital that are going to stay just camera drone people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they can't do that remote ID thing. And if that's where you were headed with remote ID, they can't do that, because I'll do just what Ethan did. I'll build the Shendron Tech and fly the damn thing anyway. Yeah. And I think we're all going to do that.
I think a lot of people are going to. But I will say this, Bill, let's say the rules as proposed passed. You camera guys are technically going to be the only ones to be able to fly legally. Us FPV guys, us people who build their own stuff, we're screwed per those current guidelines. Like, technically, at least, if you wanted to obey all the letters of the law, you could get your remote ID, you could, lube up, you do all the stuff you need. They're going to force you to do. You guys will actually be fine. You guys are going to be covered. We're actually going to be the dark side. We'll actually end up being if the implementation goes in as they want it. Like, that's what I'm saying.
But do you see it as to that, or are we going to actually, like, if you're a camera drone pilot or a 107 pilot, are you going to be paying for just a cylinder of sky to fly in?
I mean, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
So that's ridiculous. So basically, there's not going to be, like, if you pan to, what if you try to do an orbit and you accidentally go out of your fringe? Are they going to slap you with a fine?
No, I think it'll stop. I think it'll stop. It won't let you fly in that spot.
Probably.
Just like it does right now.
Well, go ahead, Jim.
I was going to say, Walmart just announced that they're partnering with Zipline.
Right.
Zipline's been delivering for about the past 3 years in Africa, so they can prove all their testing. Walmart's going to be using them within a 50-mile radius, so that's where UTM comes in. We get traffic managed right out of an area. In other words, if they're going to be delivering somebody's tampons, I can't fly.
Right, yeah. So an actual 107. Even if you have a client, you've purchased a window and everything. If they get a delivery, they'll take precedent over you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So they're basically making sure that the industry dies.
I don't know, Ethan. Do you have a different view? I firmly believe that corporate airspace is going to be get favored over our airspace. And I'm 107 for a couple of years, you know.
I don't know. I think it's a very, very big area. So to have a little camera drone up for, say you real estate or commercial or whatever shots you need to get, I think you'll be able to get that no problem. Even if like they have deliveries coming in, I think they'll just reroute them automatically, kind of like what they do with manned aircraft. I think who's going to suffer the most are going to be the hobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is going to suffer the most.
They're going to force you to get that bigger license.
I think they're going to force you to do that and make every flight a commercial flight, or they're going to say you can only fly in this spot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they've already met. Wait a minute. What is? I refuse to be that pessimistic. Yes, but they've already told us. Here's the thing, Marcus. Remember when we all signed up and we left all those comments and everything? They told us then that you had to have a designated field and that you only had a certain window to apply to be a new field. And they will never add to those fields.
Right.
But they'll happily close those fields one by one.
Well, that's because they want that. That is more squarely aimed at the AMA guys, because the fields that are out there are the AMA fields. But they said that they anticipate that the people at those AMA fields will, in time, be able to upgrade all their aircraft to have remote ID. So the addition of new fields and sanctioned places is not going to be necessary. That's their logic behind that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's their logic. The FAA anticipates that.
So they've done it. They've elitist us again. They've kind of like they've given the AMA the okay. You can keep your little space. Just keep those nasty drone people out of the way.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to put the remote ID on their helicopters, on their planes. That's what they anticipate, right? Because that's the whole point of the fields. If you have a recognized field, then you don't have to run remote ID. That's the idea. As long as the models are kept in that field, then you don't have to run remote ID. Doesn't matter what your weight is or anything. But as we know, the fields that get added, that's not the amount of space left on Earth to fly RC. Yeah. So that means anybody that has a new field that they need to add, they're screwed. Their members are going to have to run remote ID. And in due time, the FAA is going to do away with that list of fields, and they're just going to say, you guys all need to be running remote ID. Yes, you plane guys, helicopter guys, you all are going to have to run remote ID.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
See, here's where we differ here. This is like Marcus is saying, oh, we'll still be able to fly as long as we have remote ID. Yeah, but what you're not hearing is just like, how many times, if you've ever flown with Lance, you basically get a tube that you can fly in, and you get a period of time that you can fly in. But here's the difference. Whereas we can get it free from Lance, this way you're going to pay, and you're going to pay dearly for those 30 to 60 minutes for your.
Well, I don't know about that. They're not going to do that right away, and maybe not at all. But that depends on really what happens in time. If they're really going to make you pay for every single flight that you take in airspace, then yeah, that's going to kill the hobby entirely.
Well, that's what Ethan was saying. I said, what if you do an orbit and your orbit goes beyond your lot? And he said, I think it'll stop. Remember?
Yeah, right.
So
I think I agree with Idaho. I don't know if I'm that pessimistic about it, but I'm sort of just over it because they're going to do what they're going to do. We can't do anything about it. So it is what it is. Just enjoy your time as you have it.
We've been just a little over 2 years ago. We were all saying, "Oh, they'll never kick us out of the sky."
Well, I don't even have Lank here.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, I don't even have
my
Lank
small
yet.
little regional airport here has it. It's a treat every time I unlock it. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's awesome. I don't understand it, man. We could just they could just upgrade it, and we could do that.
Honestly, I don't find anything wrong with it. I think it's a great system. All I do is go on. It's real simple. You select your circle, boom, you're good for me. They let me do it as long as 2 hours. I don't know if other airports have set limits, but I can do it for 2 hours.
I never go beyond like 30 minutes or so because usually I'm switching drones.
How big a circle do you get? Like,
oh my goodness. I've done a 1,000-foot radius before, but I mean, I don't know how much farther you can go.
Right. Okay.
And and that's kind of what was frustrating about the whole thing. The land system works really, really well. Mm-hmm. And for them to just build on that and just add to it would have been a piece of cake. So I really don't understand why they were going this route other than the obvious stuff.
That's a good point. If you're in Class G airspace, that's probably going to be completely unaffected by any of this. That's true. This really is only a concern for Class D and up, which covers a lot of people. I mean, I'm under Class D for a lot of the town that I'm in.
Not what they're proposing, though, man. What they're proposing is that
everywhere.
Even in Class G airspace, you're still going to have to apply.
Hopefully they wisen up a little bit about that.
They think that we're going to be so ravenous to
fly. Well, they haven't. Well, I don't think they will. I think it's going to be what they proposed, and because they haven't offered any like other recommendations or anything. They didn't even make any addendums to what they had out. They basically said, "Okay."
And the other thing is this all really going to actually work en masse? Is it really are people really going to put up with a whole bunch of drones flying over their neighborhood delivering packages? I mean, I don't.
Phase 2 testing.
Okay, but that's phase 2 testing. I'm talking about when it's full force in a town. Personally, I don't know that's going to be something people accept.
Well, yeah, I don't, especially at the 400 feet, 0 to 400 feet. I think they need to be higher than that, personally.
Well,
Paul Murray is saying it's highly unlikely that he thinks that commercial drone delivery will fly below 250 feet for 90% of their flights. So basically, you're saying it will stay above 250 and maybe get to where it's supposed to land and then come down. Or maybe as it approaches, it'll come down.
So okay, that would be fine if they will give us up to 250 feet, and then we can apply for a little bit higher if we need it to be.
I could live with that.
I could probably live with that too. I mean, and if there aren't any commercial drones or commercial deliveries planned, then let me have up to the 400 in the area.
Right.
I mean,
and I go back to the Lance. I don't know why they abandoned it, because even in the Lance thing, they could have told you when you're applying and say, "Hey, I want to take off here," or whatnot. They could have told you right there, like, "Hey, there's an incoming delivery drone at this time at this spot," so you know to either adjust accordingly or just wait.
Well, Ethan, you know how things work with the government. They just are swung by whoever swings them. And Lance was a great idea. And I'm sure the people behind Lance are just like, we put in all this work to make this, and now it's just going to get thrown away. So,
or they're saying, "Show me the money because we want to have the subscription stuff." So,
yeah. And that phase 2 testing is to see how they can corral us, too.
Yeah.
What I would really like to see, though, is I would just like to see an exclusion for anything under 100 feet. I know it won't happen. But there's so many people that do low-level proximity flying, especially in FPV, and we're not going to be a problem for these delivery drones. We're just not. And I would love for them to recognize that, but,
we've got more and more companies entering the delivery drone field. And I need somebody that's good with caricatures. I'm going to say it here because it's my idea. It's in my brain. If somebody's going to rip it off, then fine. Because as long as its purpose is served. But we need one of those road signs or signs that says, no droning, and it's got the picture of the drone and circle and it's X'd out. Well, we need like a kind of a comical Phantom 4 drone, like a Phantom 4 Pro or something like that. And it needs to have like a crazy dog face on it with like a tongue hanging
There's
out.
the cat. There's the cat. You guys wanted the cat. There she is.
Ripping through the sign, and then just the caption underneath it says "Free the drones."
Free the drones.
And he's just like tearing through the no-fly zone.
Right.
Speaking of that, I'd love to see. I'm one of the people who'd be fine with a digital license plate on my drone that makes sense, embed it in the radio transmission, something like that, right? But when they do that, though, I would love to see them say towns and cities cannot make rules that say you can't fly a drone in the area. There's so many places that you can't fly because, so-and-so town, so-and-so park decides to ban it. I would like to see them make it illegal for a town or city to impose that, because everyone has remote ID, right? Like, everyone has a license plate. So then why should they be able to ban it?
Yeah. Anyway, we got off on a tangent here like we seem to always do. And I wanted to say, welcome to a couple things here. Welcome,
Ron Brown.
Ron Brown's in the house.
So, Ron,
tell everybody hey, Ron. Tell everybody hey.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back from summer vacation here. How's everyone doing tonight?
We're doing great. Good, while we got you in the hot seat, and we can all ask you questions from the background. First off, catch us up on what your personal views are on the GoPro Hero 9, and will you buy?
The GoPro Hero 9. I know a lot of people think the knockout feature is that front-facing viewfinder, and I think it's important they added that. They had to add that to the 9. It's not a killer feature for me per se. It's nice. I'm glad it'll be there, but it's not the be-all end-all for me. I mean, I used to shoot with a wide-angle lens. How hard it is to appear in a giant, GoPro fisheye view. I like that they added more the 5K, which I know people say, I don't need 5K, but you can zoom in more with the 5K. So that's a good feature. And the 23 point something megapixels all improve the photos. I think it's a solid upgrade, and they did what they had to. They had to add the front facing camera. So will I upgrade? I mean, not right this second is not, but I will eventually upgrade to the Hero 9, but not like I didn't order today.
Oh, very cool. So we're all in, none of us are purchasing.
I might. We'll see.
I'm not going to, if I get one, it'll be 6 or 8 months down the road, and the price will be a little different.
If I get a hold of some raw footage and it knocks my socks off, I'll probably get it.
Hey, Bill, before we get off that subject, what did you think of that tricky pricing where they kind of threw it at you for $349, but through the final price? That's only if you subscribe to their GoPro subscription service, which I believe is $50 a year? Is that correct?
$60 a year. We are varying opinions here. Are they going to bite you for that $60? But it is kind of worth it because it's like DJI Refresh. It's kind of like insurance. So do you want to do that, or do you want to get the deal and only pay $6 extra for the 1 month and then cancel? Can you cancel? But we're thinking you can cancel after 1 month.
I've heard online somebody said you can cancel, but I just heard that in line. That's not verified at all.
Okay, so
let me ask you something.
All right,
I haven't seen the 9. I had to buy the $80 media mod. Is the 9 going to have the
media mod is already on the website for the 9. I don't know if it's available today, but it's on the website.
Yeah, so you got to buy the media mod too?
No, you don't have to. You can use just the front-facing camera, or you can get the media mod an addition.
Well, the main reason I got the media mod was so I could charge it without having to open up the door, because the door goes flying every time you open it.
To answer Jim's question, you have to buy it again, Jim. That's the bad news.
Yeah, and the 9 has the same dumb door as the 8 did. That
door.
Oh yes, stupid.
Yeah.
But at least they did fix the lens issue where you can remove the lens on this one. So if you have an accident and you shatter that lens cover, you can replace it yourself without having to send it in for repairs. So that was a nice kind of they took something good away and they did put it back after user feedback. So I do give them credit there.
Yeah, I'm still not sure why they went with that style of door. Like if it falls off every time, if you gotta, if you want to keep it plugged in for like a time lapse, it stays open, so the whole camera is exposed. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And when I had one, it popped off every time I tried to take the battery out.
Every time.
I do not have the Hero 8. I didn't upgrade from the Hero 7. Is the door different from the 7?
Yes.
Okay.
So instead of having two doors, you know how the 7's got the one door on the side where the HDMI and the USB-C and the SD card is, and then you have the door on the bottom that has the battery or the USB and the SD cards on the bottom. Well, the Hero 8, they went to one door on the side. It's like a really big door on the side. And the way it's hinged, it doesn't open all the way, like 90 degrees, so you can get the battery out. It opens to like an angle. So when you pull the battery out, you got to flex it open a little bit more, and then it pops off.
Oh.
And you got to go looking for it. It pops.
Well, I don't like that popping, but
yeah, and so that's where the battery, the SD card, and the USB port is. So yeah, it's a really, I don't really care for that design. That and the lens, couldn't change the lens is the reason why I took it back. I thought the image quality was great, but it just wasn't really that functional for what I was doing.
I mean, I watched DC Rainmaker's review of it today, and I mean, I don't know what you think of DC Rainmaker. I don't watch him all the time, but he really thought it was by his review. He thought it was a pretty solid upgrade. Like a lot of things got incrementally better.
Yeah. Well, I think it really is what the 8 should have been personally. And as far as stabilization goes, I mean, I think for my purposes, I think the stabilization on the Hero 7 is plenty good.
Yeah, we got what do they call their stabilization? We got version 3.0 with the 9.
Yeah, 3.0 of Hypersmooth.
I forget what they call their stabilization. Rocksteady's DJI. Forget what DJI's is. I mean, what GoPro's is.
But if you look at a lot of the videos that I saw today, they were displaying it. The side by side, it's definitely cropped in more. So,
did they make it more stable?
Right.
Yeah. And I know you can also, Jim was talking about accessories. I know you can add, they already have, well, I don't know if it's for sale right now, but they already showed a wide angle lens you could put on it for even a wider field of view. I don't know why you would need a wider field of view than super view, but I mean, if you need it, it's there. I mean, as an add-on accessory you have to buy.
I know a lot of guys don't care, but I'm very disappointed they didn't put 10-bit color on it.
Yep.
Did you have any hope at all to be a 1-inch sensor unit?
The sensor size, I mean, so this is the thing. When you go with larger sensors, even though your image quality can be better, but there comes a lot of problems.
Doesn't matter.
You get a lot of problems when you go to a larger sensor, namely heat and processing power.
Yeah.
So if you take say I have a Panasonic GH5 that's got a micro four thirds camera, it does 4K 60 all day long without overheating, and the image quality on it is awesome. But it's also, you got to put a really awesome SD card in it. And then I also have a Fujifilm X-T4 that's got a SPC sensor, and it'll do 4K too, but it'll start to get warm if you just let it go for a while. So you definitely have to worry about heat when you go larger sensor. So
yeah, well, the GH5 it's a pretty good size body, so it's a lot of room there to prevent the heat or whatever. Much
and
bigger.
It by far has the best IBIS I've ever seen. I mean, I don't even need a gimbal with that camera.
Yeah, you're right. What's it have? Five stops of image stabilization. It's
got a little sensor and big body, plenty of room to move around. So.
Yeah, it's very effective. You're right.
But I think with the sensor they had on the 8 or the 7, they could definitely squeeze 10-bit out of it if they wanted to.
Hey, Thomas Arrows is put in chat. He says hyper smooth. I couldn't remember GoPro's hashtag for their stabilization. Hyper smooth.
All right. Anybody ever have a problem with hyper smooth too? I mean, I couldn't see how you would mess that up. I took it on the bike and it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the hyper smooth on my 7 was great.
Yeah, I mean that was the real revolution when the Hero 7 is the GoPro moment when they came out with hyper smooth stabilization. They just changed the game.
Yeah.
How much is that going to cost? How much would a 12K Blackmagic camera cost?
I saw that in B&H's.
I think it's $4,000.
4?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought it was a lot more than 4. That's not that bad, really.
Now prices have come down on those things.
Yeah, but I mean the Blackmagic, you're not getting awesome autofocus, and it's still the 12K might be an APC sensor. I'm not sure. No, the 4K had a micro four thirds.
Very cool. Okay, I wanted to put that share I had up just a second ago because the whole point of this was the future of drones, or we can like kind of smack on it and do it next week, I guess. But yeah, it was talking about all the different things, and some things I was thinking different about, like this one down here, the ISPs, talking about going to areas that solar powered drones to beam internet to areas that couldn't normally get connectivity.
Oh, they already got Starlink going up with SpaceX.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole point is this is saying somewhere that might not even be able to get a good satellite link. I'm assuming. I don't know. But
Starlink is putting up. Starlink is what's the name of that company?
SpaceX.
SpaceX is putting up all the satellites for internet.
Yeah, there's some countries already starting to ban the receivers for it because they don't want their people to have access to unregulated internet.
Oh
That's right.
Well, that's so funny, man.
Yeah.
China,
Cuba.
We won't name any countries.
Or
drones. Let's go fly.
North Korea.
Well, yeah, that's okay. I don't know how we got over there, but anyway, back to this area. What would we want? What do you want on a future drone? Not just I'm saying, let's not say Mavic 3, let's say Mavic 6, Evo 5. Okay?
This is what I want Evo or Parrot to do, because DJI is not going to give us something without geofencing. So this is what I want Parrot or Autel to do. I want them to take the flight quality of like the Mavic Air 2 or the Mavic 2 Pro and combine the camera that's in the Mavic 2 Pro with the camera with the quad bear stuff that's in the Mavic Air 2 and give me 10-bit 4K 60 with HLG and D-Log. And then I'd be happy. With no geofencing, I'd be happy.
Here's the thing, though. No offense, but that's available in all the Micro Four Thirds cameras of DJI. They're not. I don't know if they're going to give that to you at the price of a Mavic 2 Pro.
Well, or I wouldn't even mind paying more if I got it in the compact size of a Mavic 2 Pro.
Okay.
I know you can get it on the Inspire and all those guys, but that's not practical to carry around.
No. And
I don't want the geofencing either. They can take that geofencing and go stick it.
All right, Ron Brown, get some rest. Glad to have you here, sir. We'll be talking. I got to fit this.
Ron Lockwood.
Yeah, Ron Brown's still here too. Ron Lockwood. Thank you for correcting me. I haven't taken my medicine today. Anyway, so
they almost threw you out, Ron. You just got here.
Well, I'm not even that tired. Lots of times I am tired, but I'm wide-eyed and bushy-tailed tonight.
I was going to say, Ethan, that and those other drones, doesn't have to be just DJI, but they got away from the transforming legs. Now they want you all to put the legs on yourself.
Oh, I see.
Like that Matrice and the Watts drone that just came out, the Prism.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You still have to put the legs on yourself.
Mm. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Especially if Evo could do a camera like that in a drone the size of the Mavic 2 Air or Mavic Air 2, I think that would be that'd be good for at least 5 or 6 years. Because I do like the size of the Mavic Air 2, but I just wish it had the camera of my Mavic Pro.
How big a fan would you really need? I mean, the way you can make thin fans today.
I think if they designed the housing with a larger heat sink on the back, I think that would be fine.
Because what DJI did from the Inspire to the Inspire 1 to Inspire 2, they moved the processor out of the camera and put it into the drone.
Right.
To take heat off.
Yeah, that's the way it is in the Mavic series too.
Are you saying live long and prosper, Bill, or are you?
Well, no, see, Sergio did this, see?
Okay, okay.
So I was doing that. And then I like doing it because some people go like,
I can't do it. I can't do it.
What was that? That was a unique twang.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one before.
I do it with both hands.
Whose extracurricular activity was that?
I got nothing else going on here. It wasn't me.
Yeah, me neither, man. Yeah, but no, I just did it because Sergio did it. Something else. Okay, here's something, and it really burns me out too. And I'm not sure what I think about it. I've posted my affiliate link for it. This new Luminar coming out, man.
Oh, yeah. Bill.
And I'm like, they're gonna make it more AI and more AI and more AI.
Exactly.
And I'm like, but the thing about it is they're just gonna leave Luminar 4 and just go, that's it, that's the last update. See ya.
Oh, sounds like DJI.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just gonna make a new drone, and the rest of you guys are screwed.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's the world. I mean,
that's the different. That's that's the downside of.
Wait. Did y'all see this?
Sorry.
See, there's who it was.
Yeah, there's the phone.
Yeah.
That was probably Luminar calling.
Okay. Anybody wants to send me puppets is welcome to send me puppets, and I will use them. I will actually perform by myself with puppets because then I don't have to. It'll be a captive audience then. So
we got to get Paul Murray on here to do his puppet show. That would be fantastic.
No. I'm just messing. I don't want competing puppets.
Competition.
Only my puppets will be on my show. No.
John, I heard strange things about his boobs and glasses. I'm just saying. That's what I heard today.
That's what I heard.
Interesting.
About wait, roll that back. Somebody play the tape back. I missed that completely.
I was told he put his boobs in a glass or against the glass.
Who put whose boobs against the glass? Paul.
Apparently, I was not on the Canadian Drone Hub today, so I missed that entirely.
Allegedly,
I'm gonna have to go back and see that. What the hell happened? God, I'm not on for a few days.
All right. Whoa. I'm not gonna be carried any tales. Especially not one. Because the first thing that flashed in my head, John, was when we used to give a certain friend of ours a hard time with a particular gift that you found. You remember?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Do we need to pull it up? No. Nobody here remembers.
Everybody will know. Yes, but if you pull that up, then everybody will know who we're talking about. Oh no! Sorry, Ethan. We didn't try to make you leave. But anyway,
Ron, when are you going?
I just gotta go do something real quick. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I was saying, Ron, when the hell are you going back to FPV boot camp?
Well, I'm still waiting for my DJI FPV drone to come to market, and I'm sharpening my skills up, my digital skills up here, watching stuff, doing reading and whatever. So I'm doing my offline research right now, John.
Ron, it's okay. Before you came on, I gave a speech about how it's okay for camera drones who just can't really get the oomph out of FPV that a lot of people do to go ahead and stay in the camera drone field. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel bad. And I even like a 4-minute speech about how it was okay because I was, somebody that we know told me that particular person that we're talking about that gift said it just didn't do nothing for him. And he's like, I'm not going to do FPV. And I was like, okay, fair. I'm not going to do it as much as you guys do by any means.
I was talking about FPV. I got a TBS Crossfire Tango 2 this week, and it's been an absolute nightmare.
Ooh.
Yes, not good, not good. Tell everyone how bad it's been.
It's been so today I was Facebook and I was messaging back and forth with one of the guys from TBS, and so basically I got a Tango 2, and it's got built-in Crossfire for FPV flying, and it's a very small, compact remote, much smaller than the Tyrannus is. But I have full-size Crossfire on the Tyrannus, and it works great. It always has worked great. And you can fly way out there without even you'll lose video long before you'll lose control link with Crossfire. So when I first got the Tango 2 this week, I bound it to a couple of my drones. I took them out. What?
Go.
You lagged out. We missed half of what you said.
With you. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I went to go fly, and with maybe getting like 100 yards out, I get this like telemetry loss. Basically it's the radio is yelling at you to turn around. You're going too far because it's getting ready to lose the link. And sure enough, one of the drones, like the other day I was flying at night, wasn't even maybe like a quarter mile away, and it just fail safes and then falls to the ground and just crashes. And you can even see in the DVR that I still had solid DJI video. So, which is, you're supposed to lose video before you lose the radio. Supposed to. So, we did some tests this morning, and the radio is definitely not putting out anywhere close to the power it should be. So, we're trying to figure out if it's an antenna, if it's the board, if it's the firmware. So, who knows? But I've been dealing with that most of today, and it's been an absolute nightmare. But hopefully, we'll get it resolved. I'm optimistic.
Wait, I'm still typing. Keep talking.
Still typing.
Did you get that?
I had trouble with my Tango 2 as well. As you know, they've just really had a hell of a lot of growing pains. They've really had a hell of a lot of growing pains with that thing.
Where did it go?
Well, I'm hoping it was firmware, because I think I haven't tested it yet, but apparently there is a certain order that you have to do the firmware in, or else nothing works.
Right.
According to some of the YouTube. So you got to update the SD card, the contents on the SD card first. Then you got to update the OpenTX next, and then you update the Crossfire, and then you update the Nanos, the receivers.
Right. Yeah. There's a whole. It's a whole rigmarole, and honestly, TBS Agent X is not a very intuitive program. Like, I don't know if they fixed this, but the first time I updated Crossfire on my Tango 2, it said 100% update complete. So I pulled the radio, and then I tried to bind, and it said error, Crossfire, missing file. And I went on, and I said, what the hell happened? And they said, did you wait until that 100% went away? I'm like, no. And they're like, yeah, even though it says 100%, you got to wait until that disappears. And I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, okay. So,
it's definitely not. Well, and also, like, when it does its rebooting process on the radio, it pops back up and it prompts you like, hey, do you want to go to the agent, or do you want to go to the like SD card, or what do you want to do? Or like joystick, because you got plugged into the computer. And intuitively you would say, all right, go back to the agent because we're doing firmware. But apparently, no, you're not supposed to touch it.
Nope.
So, but there's been a couple times where the firmware doing that process, it got stuck and it just sat there for like 30 minutes, not doing anything. I'm like, so I started just writing these people. I was like, is it supposed to take this long? And they're like, yeah, no, it got stuck. You got to just do it again. I'm just like, so I've been doing this process over and over and over and over. And finally I got it to go through this afternoon on the firmware that they told me to do. Cause it was on the regular firmware that was like, not beta, the regular stuff. And they were saying, oh no, you got that V3 board. You got to be on the beta stuff. And I'm kind of like, okay, that's not intuitive at all. And that's not even what it came with.
Right. And I mean, look, that's exactly, they shipped the V2 batch, as you know, pretty much broken out of the box, right? And what I mean by that is if you disconnected it from power in a very common way, the radio would just freeze up. I mean, I got it out of the damn box, plugged it into the computer, then unplugged it, and the radio locked up. I was opening my radio up within like 30 minutes of owning it because it wouldn't shut off. Nobody knew what the hell was wrong with that either for days. Wow. And then they came out with like an emergency update after like 4 or 5 days went by because apparently of some kind of power bug. So thankfully that was firmware. But at first I was thinking, wow, this is a hardware problem. My thing is locked up. This is screwed. And it happened to me twice.
Right.
Twice. So it really does inspire confidence when you get your radio and it's locking up day number one. And like you were saying, you were telling me earlier that you feel like you don't know if you can trust this thing because you're not getting the range you should.
Yeah. And when you're talking, because crossfire, the whole reason you get crossfire is range and confidence, right? You always want to have a solid link that will go way beyond your video link. You know what I mean? Because that way, that's what you're indicator. You know you're losing video. Right. You know if you're losing video, you know it's time to come back, and you have that confidence that you have full control. But when the radio starts, that's the whole reason I went to Crossfire. When I was on the FR Sky XMs, you go out past the football field and it's starting to yell at you like, hey, you're a little too far. And and I still have plenty of good video.
Look, here's the reason for the problems too. I know the Tango 2 is about a year old now, but unfortunately they've changed the hardware every time they send a new batch. And, it's not an excuse, but that has created a problem every single time. So they solved all the problems with the first batch. First batch was great. Then, surprise, we got the multi-protocol port and they moved the power thing. And just adding that obviously caused some problems. Well, then what happened was they made they had to make a V3 board because, so this is what they say. He said their chip supplier for what they were building the V1 and the V2 boards with was saying, you know what? We're not going to be able to supply this to you at the price we have been. And yeah, that's it. You guys have like 60 days to figure it out. So they have to very quickly, to get the V3 batch out, redesign it and put the Micro TX V2 internals in there. So again, you're talking about a board that is completely different, internally from version 1 and 2, which are mainly based on Micro TX V1. These constant hardware changes are not allowing TBS to have some downtime to actually get this thing tested the way it should before it gets into people's hands. I mean, it's not an excuse, but it's just how it is. Hopefully this V3 board is it for a while for them, because otherwise people are just gonna keep having problems with every new release.
Yeah, you definitely. All I gotta say is I don't know Spanish either. And everything
right. Well, what I don't understand is why. I mean, it's great. I think it's ambitious of them to like design a all-in-one controller like this. Mm-hmm. They could have definitely, and I even think they should do this anyway as an option. Have that same form factor, but have a JSC bay in the back, so you can use your micro Crossfire or your full-size Crossfire and just plug it in.
Is this the one with the R9 in the back of it?
It's got the Crossfire Micro built into it, and it's a game style controller.
Let me bring it here so people have a reference. I'm sure you can show you. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we're talking about, and it doesn't have a module bay. What's funny is on the TBS couch, people when they released the module bay add-on for it, they said that they completely just missed the boat on putting a module bay there. That apparently when they sent these out to people to test, nobody complained that it didn't have a module bay. Personally, I'm shocked that nobody complained that there was no module bay, because as this is, I can't fly any of my FreeSky stuff. This will only fly Crossfire. So that kind of sucks. But I knew that while buying it, and I already own a Tyrannus.
Here's the size difference. So this is my Tyrannus.
Yeah, look at the difference, guys.
With Crossfire in the back. So this is a full-size Crossfire unit, right? This is my Tyrannus radio. That's what I've been using. Works great.
Right.
This is basically why I got it, because look how sleek and that'll fit in my bag compared to this. I mean,
and it's not just the fit too. I mean, the sticks fold. I mean, that's just golden.
You ever seen something like this?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
And then the antenna's built in right there. There you go.
Mm-hmm. And you could turn the antenna too.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Turn the antenna. Really sweet.
So instead of using this, where I got my antenna mounted right there, because I always lose it.
Look at that. Oh my goodness.
So you just kind of screw it on the back, and there you go. That's how you fly regular.
What controller is that, Ethan?
This is a Taranis X9D. You can pick these up used. This one, I'm probably like the third owner of this thing. I got it from my buddy for like, I don't know, $70 or something. It's got the Hall effect gimbals. It's a great radio. I mean, OpenTX, you can fly anything with it, wings, whatever. It's one of those things that's going to last forever.
With a controller like that, I could probably even fly a PV.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about the full size, you even have a spot on the bottom where you can plug in a regular like LiPo, so it'll actually put out 2 watts of like power, and you can go way out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, you get your.
I don't know how important the small size of the controller would be for me. I mean, I've used big controllers in the past. The Phantom 4 had a pretty good sized controller.
Well, I'm still getting used to this. I haven't had a lot of time to get used to it because I've been having nothing but problems. But it is, for me anyway, it is different than using this. I still feel right now, just because I haven't had a whole lot of stick time with doing it, but I'm definitely more accurate with this.
Yeah.
Just because I've been flying that for over a year now.
You're used to it, right? And I'm not gonna lie too. I feel like I'm a little more accurate with the Taranis too, because I've been flying with it for 4 years now, almost 5. I mean, it's 2016 is when I bought the Taranis. So
I get the point that the Taranis isn't exactly a travel.
No, it's definitely not.
It's a pain in the ass, and on more than one occasion, I've almost broken the damn thing because of its size. So
you have a neck strap for it?
Yeah,
I do have a neck strap for it. Yeah, but it's a pain in the ass. It's a big thing to lug. I mean, you need an entire case just for an entire area just for this.
Yeah.
What this has allowed me to do, Ron, just to give you an idea, in my backpack where I used to only be able to put my Taranis radio, I can put this and my DJI goggles side by side with each other. So this and the DJI goggles can live together where the Taranis used to live, and then I can put my drone on top. That's how much space that having something like this saves you.
I definitely get having like a nice, like kind of travel kit, like a small backpack or a lightweight backpack to take with you on the go, everywhere you go, versus something heavy that you may leave at home because of the weight and the size.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If DJI would come out with their FPV stuff with a controller this size, I'd scoop it up in a heartbeat.
Me too.
Because then
that does everything your other one does, though, Ethan.
Yeah. Except for running micros that are. So this is an FR Sky radio. So it's got built-in FR Sky like protocols. So if you buy an FR Sky receiver, like an FR Sky FM or XM, that's like the little tiny one, same size as the Nano. This antenna runs that. But the Taranis has these module bays where basically, see, this comes right out. You just plug in these, you can plug in these extensions basically, and then you got a whole nother basically setup. And this Crossfire is known for being long range.
We're at that transmitter. Is that correct, Ethan?
What's that?
You have a Crossfire unit in the back of that transmitter.
Right. It's their full size Crossfire unit. They make a micro, and that doesn't have the same output power, but because of the way it's designed, even their micro, which this has got the same power output as the micro, which it only goes up to 250 milliwatts. That's still plenty. It's still, it'll go way, way out there.
And in the future, we may get we may get an update.
Crossfire modules cost more than the other modules because of their increased range capacity.
So the full size Crossfire is, I think it's 150. I think you can get the micro, because the micro is the same size. It's basically, actually, it's a little bit smaller than this, but it doesn't have a screen and a joystick. This is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a screen and a joystick on it. The micro doesn't have that, but you still have all the same features, but you just go through the radio to get to them.
Right.
And it's cheaper, and it only goes up to 250 milliwatt, where this one, with the stock setup like this, it'll go up to 1 watt. And if you plug in an external battery, it'll go up to 2 watts.
And that gives you the increased transmission.
What's in the bowl, John?
I know.
He's like, what's in the bowl? Let me have what's in the bowl. Come on, John. I'm going to claw your balls. I'm going to claw your balls. Give me what's in the bowl, John.
Too much sugar for you.
But I wanted to talk to basically Sam Burns put a video, or he sent us a link to a video of him flying. He's learning how to fly FPV. And I definitely had some pointers to give him. There's 2 things that I would definitely recommend to anybody trying to learn how to fly FPV, especially once you start to fly and you get out of the sim. 2 things that drastically helped me a lot was, one, if you're used to flying camera drones, you kind of trying to stay level. Don't do that. You always want to be moving forward, almost like an airplane. That'll definitely help you, instead of like going up and trying to hover and like look around, kind of like you do with a camera drone. You don't want to do that. You want to keep on moving forward.
Keep moving.
Yep. And 2, what helped me the most was because I've noticed I had a hard time with like throttle control.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw one guy, and I've never seen this anywhere else, but if you if you go into BEATAFLIGHT and you turn on the throttle level on your OSD, and if you're moving forward and you're at a good pace and you're keeping the even height, it'll show you in the OSD what your throttle percentage is. 25, 30, whatever. It'll tell you what it is. And if you go back into BEATAFLIGHT, plug that number into the throttle expo and give it just a little bit of throttle expo. That'll help smooth out that spot right there. So your throttle control will be way, way better, especially learning.
Cool. Hey, Drone Shots has a question in the chat for probably either Ethan or John. He says, this is for transmitters. He says, the Jumper T16 or 18 or the Radio Master 16?
Jumper.
Radio Master. You want to go with Radio Master?
Jumper.
Radio Master. You want to go with Radio Master T16S with the Hall effect gimbals. That is what you should go with right now, because there was a bit of a tussle between Jumper people and the Radio Master people, and a bunch of good people from Jumper supposedly went over to Radio Master, and that's as much as I can tell you.
I thought they were actually the same radio, is what I heard.
Well, base, kind of, yeah, but the whole politics in it is a mess. But you can't go wrong with Radio Master 16. Jumper T18 is probably not bad either. I would stay away from some of the 16s because there was some shoddy quality control, and I don't know if they've gotten out of that with the 16s.
Okay, so he wants a very long neck strap. The longest neck strap I have actually came from Spectrum.
Ooh. Ethan, check this out. I got the TBS Crown Jewels.
Oh, nice.
The Crown Jewel, yeah, I got it. I want to see if
extenders.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah, they replaced the sticks on my thing. Yeah, a little longer and a little better grip.
Spikier.
Yeah, they're gonna spike my fingers.
Spikier.
Yeah, the ones that come with the Tango aren't very spiky.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of them.
I
wonder how. Oh, I can't seem to. Oh, there we go. I guess I'm gonna replace them right now live. Go on. What do you got?
Yeah, go ahead. But I guess I'm
a bonus segment here. Bonus coverage.
Bonus coverage.
So do you guys think we're going to see a drone from anybody in the fall, like October, November, December?
Well, you mean anybody of any name, reputation?
Did you hear that they were supposed to start?
Anybody from the big 3, or
No,
big 2,
I think it's going to be crickets from the big 3.
That's crazy.
So you don't even think the FPV drone, Ron?
Now I'm thinking that's not coming either now, because I think we're close enough to the time that they talked about releasing it that there would be a lot of buzz out there, and there's no buzz at all on it now.
Yeah, they're definitely not as much buzz as there was.
Yoda. Wait a minute, Yoda. Right?
I've heard some people say that it's coming. There's some people out there that are still saying it's coming, but we're already mid-September, and I had heard from certain sources that it would be here for mid-September. So,
well, Bill will probably agree with me here. When DJI is getting ready to release one of their big-time drone releases, they actually put leaks out.
And we just haven't seen any more leaks.
Jesus, I mean, when you see all those leaks, like we saw the leaks about the Mavic Air 2, it was from them. You know what I mean? Like, they did it for the Mini 2. So we're not seeing any leaks from DJI right now. So that means, well, we're not patents next month.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't think, and I hate to say this, because of this stuff with the new, the data collection switch that we can turn on and off, and they're going to put it in the Go 4, and they're going to put it in the Fly app, and the fact that they're doing it for both platforms makes me feel like they're not going to add the Mavic Air 2 to the smart controller anytime before there's a smart controller 2. And I hate to say that, but
yeah,
I get that bad feeling too, Bill.
Hey. Why should you guys be any different? I'm out here by myself with a Crystal Sky and Ascendance remote controller that are end of life.
Yeah, right.
You guys need to join me.
Yeah, we're coming, Jim. We're coming.
Well, the whole point is they actually published on their website that it was going to be compatible. So it's going to be, what they're going to do is the last update before they end of life it will be to make it compatible.
To avoid the class action suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Want a free upgrade.
Yeah, Ethan. Why don't think you'll see a drone from DJI this year or anytime soon is because they can't even get the Rowan gimbals out the door, let alone a new drone release.
Well, and then when you find out that how many American-made parts actually build their drones.
Yeah, right.
You go, oh, okay, well, it's a programming thing. That's why, well, I mean, which is cool. But, I mean, can you imagine if they would actually give up the software, what more minds involved could do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you guys should see what Litchy's doing with, like, just the Mavic Mini. I mean, it's crazy what.
Are you running the beta, Ethan?
Yeah, I got the beta version of it. And it's, I mean, the 1080p 60 looks really good, and the fact that you can turn down the contrast and turn down the sharpening on the picture profile is, I mean, it looks way better in my opinion. But
how far can you go with a Mavic Mini?
So it's Wi-Fi based,
right?
Okay. So you can still, I mean, you can go pretty far, but with Wi-Fi, you're very limited to line of sight and interference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But all that being said, if you do have no interference in line of sight, Jim, I've got it out about 5,300. But when you get it out that far, and it gets forced to return to home, don't let do return to home, because when it spins around and the camera's, facing you, all the antennas must be in the back of the drone, because then you lose FPV. You don't gain it back for a long time. So when you got that thing out far, always keep the butt towards you, whatever, because if it turns around and the camera's facing you, you're going to lose that. You're going to lose your FPV for a while.
Yeah,
I
will
wonder
say
why they do make it turn around though.
So you can see it, so you can see which way it's going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm with Jim on that. Maybe that's good sometimes, but I don't see why it has to. That I don't know why that's not in the software. That could be a user decision whether it's going to face you on the way back or not.
Right. Yeah, and what's surprising is like the Paradenofi has got antennas on all four legs, so no matter what. Right. But I will say the Mavic Mini's reception is way better than the Paradenofi's.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure. And the Mavic Air, the original Mavic Air, it was about the same as the Paradenofi. And I don't know what they did with the Mini, but its connection is definitely much better in either one of those two other drones.
For any drone that just calls itself a Wi-Fi based drone, the Mini's a champ of. That just calls itself Wi-Fi. I mean, it outpaces.
Well, yeah. If you put the Mini Tech in a Spark body, man, you talk about a badass little drone.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it could take some stuff too, because the Spark is the tank of the the camera drone world.
Oh yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, my Spark took some hits, and it was still fine.
And how many been dropped in water and then put in rice and then flown again? You know, I don't know how, because even Steve Cooch was telling us about how many times he'd done that with his drone.
Yeah, and even the Spark had like front face and obstacle avoidance on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
This is probably the thing that I cannot. Amongst other things that I hate about DJI, I mean, the geofencing is the number one, but the two would be they take away features that were available on previous models. That drives me crazy. Why would you do that?
Yeah,
like to force you to buy another model. I don't know.
I mean, the Mavic. Let's say the Mavic Air series, right? The original Mavic Air, you could adjust all the expo and you could fine tune the controls. You could also change the picture profile, contrast, saturation, and sharpness. You could do all that stuff. You can't do any of that stuff with the new app.
Right. That may be the app more than the drone. But back to your first point, Ethan, why would they take things away? Why they took things away in the Mini was the 249 grams was what they had to do. No matter what had to go to achieve 249 grams, the engineers had carte blanche to throw it out as long as you meet 249 grams.
And, with what they packed into it, I'm fine with, just because I'll be honest with you, I don't really care about obstacle avoidance. Like, even all my drones could not have it, and I'd be fine with that because I rarely use it anyway. It's almost always off for me. But I do like I'm an option guys. Right. Like I like having the option to have it or not. But I'll take camera quality and flight time over that any day.
Right. I'll tell you what, with the Mavic 2 Pro, I find the obstacle avoidance to be an actual pain in the ass. Sometimes, I mean, I've had the thing up at 300 feet and just stop because it thought something was there, and I'd have to recalibrate the position sensors on the DJI Assistant 2.
Yeah, if the sun hits those sensors just right, it'll make it come to a screeching halt. That's for sure.
Right. Hey, back to Bill's question about, do you think we'll see anything in the big three companies? I've been watching a lot of people, late to the game though, have got the Autel Evo Pro, whatever, the 1-inch sensor one, and I'm beginning to think that maybe we kind of missed the boat on that Autel Evo, especially the Pro model. I mean, a lot of big time reviewers got it early, they kind of poo-pooed it, and it kind of lost a lot of steam in the community. But I just watched Dustin Dunnell's review of it, and did some amazing things out there for him. Some of the pictures he took with it were amazing. And maybe the drone we wanted did come this year, and we poo-pooed it.
It's not doing the 10K. It sold itself as. Ethan will tell you that. He's been working with Ken Dono on that. They can't get 10 bit out of it.
Yeah.
Al Diaz tells me it's harder to fly than the DJI. He says he can't get used to the app. I don't know why.
This is Ken saying this. Well, I mean, people that only fly DJI, or mostly fly DJI, I don't know if they don't fly as well, or they're just so used to flying one type of drone that they're not used to something, like a car. If you've driven Chevys all your life and you switch to Fords, maybe you don't think it drives as well, but maybe you're just not used to it. And that's just me saying that. I'm not saying that's the case.
Yeah, I mean that definitely could be. For me, it's not the flying, because it's really, when you talk about flight characteristics, it's really hard to stack up the DJI just because their drones fly so well.
Right.
But for me, I think any experienced flyer can handle any other drone, no problem. But for me, it's more the camera quality. And like Ken sent me some raw footage off the SD card, and it's not 10-bit. I mean, it looks good, but it's not.
Wow.
So I don't know if there's a firmware update or additional setting.
Now, this is off the 8K or the 6K?
The 6K, the Pro, 6K, yeah.
Okay.
And remember, Drone Therapy is sponsored by DJI Select.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you buy it from link in the description, right, Kabil?
Absolutely. DJI Select.
Yeah, but
I think I actually joined DJI Select this year because it was on sale. They
gave me an opportunity to do so, but you know what? I looked at my account and I realized the the first thing I bought from DJI in years was the friggin' goggles. So I'm like, I'm gonna pass on that one.
And I actually used my birthday coupon on the OM4.
Yeah, and I got mine. I used my birthday coupon, and it brought it down to like $5.49. And thanks to John using my affiliate link, I still had $6 left in DJI credit. So I got another year to collect for free.
Nice, man. Yeah, I saw Marcus on Idaho from Idaho Quadcopter. He was like, we all got to remember to use each other's affiliate links when we buy this stuff, because if we don't, we're basically just giving away free money.
Yep.
To DJI.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I'm glad.
You want to hear a story though? Marcus and I, we both bought the OM4, and we created. We went into the DJI affiliate thing. We created custom links to send each other. So we bought the OM4 with our links and whatever, and that was a day. It was a release or whatever. Neither one of us ever got credit for the sale.
No way! Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
it's kind of excuse me.
Interesting.
Did you see that picture of that flash? Go ahead. I said, did you see that?
I was just going to address some stuff in the comments there. Thomas says he said that the Evo 2 doesn't fly 100% straight. I think that was also just could be one of them versus the other, but I think that's probably more of a controller calibration problem than the actual drone. But I could be wrong. It could, if the controller, like any FPV guy knows, if your controller's not calibrated correctly, it'll start to drift. No problem.
Even your camera drones, you have to calibrate them probably every 10 flights, I would say. 10 to
right. So if the yaw stick, especially if it's drifting, like turning as you're going straight, the remote's probably not calibrated. That's what I think it is. I could be totally wrong, but I would probably lean towards a controller calibration error on it flying straight or not. And as far as 10-bit goes, the average guy doesn't need 10-bit, but when you're buying a Pro Series drone that's advertised at having 10-bit, it better have 10-bit.
That's pretty close to $2,000 in price. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and also, like the Tom was saying, it only does 10-bit and 6K. Well, that's probably the most processor intensive 10-bit it could do. And for it not to do it in 4K or 1080p is kind of like, well, why not? Because the Mavic 2 Pro does 10-bit in 4K and 1080p and in the HQ mode and in full frame.
In other words, if you can do it in 6K, it should be easier to do it in 4K, is what he's saying.
Right. Yeah. And because I've shot in 10-bit, 1080p on the Mavic 2 Pro, and it looks great. It looks awesome.
I just started doing it. I wasn't doing it using the D-Log M and H265. I just started doing it, and I like it.
In my opinion, 10-bit is a bigger deal than resolution, because your eyes are more sensitive to color and luminance than they are resolution. If our eyes were sensitive to resolution, I wouldn't need these.
Right. Well, hey.
So, but
if I want to see that chat, I got to put on another pair.
Right. So if you want to, it's like, for them to go like 5K, 6K, 8K, I mean, I think that's great. But I think giving us 10-bit color, 12-bit color, 16-bit color, that's more of a, you're going to visually see that than you will 6K or 8K.
Right.
Exactly. Like show somebody HDR versus
Hot Rod in Daytona has the Untitled Evo 2 Pro, and he's posted a lot of information there about firmware and hacks and so on. So he must have found a way to get the 10-bit color on.
Yeah, I wonder if I don't know if the file that I got sent, maybe it was like a behind in the. Let's see there.
I don't know. I was talking to him yesterday, and he said he still didn't have it.
Oh, okay.
And when he called them, they said it was a ramping 4K. I mean 10-bit. You heard that, Ethan?
So they tried to say that with the Evo 1, it was a variable bit rate for the color, and I've never heard of that.
Right.
I've no camera that I've owned, and I've got a couple cameras that do 10-bit color, and none of them do that. And also I got additional software that does like an analysis of the video file. So it'll tell you all the metadata that's in there. So if they saying it's 10-bit, it'll tell me if it really is.
Are you using the EXIF tool or the Media Info?
Media Info.
Okay.
Like I told you, that's like last night. They were like, oh well, Ethan uses this program, and I was like, yeah, Media Info. And it just integrates so good, man.
Oh yeah, it's drag and drop. Yeah, it's easy. Yeah, it'll tell you everything about it. If it's 10-bit, it'll tell you. If it's HDR, it'll tell you the color space, tell you everything.
And you said, what's the name of that software again, Ethan?
Media Info. You can actually find it on the App Store if you're on Mac. So
okay,
hang on, and I will get
it. And it's free.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's free. I think it's like is it? Yeah. I thought it was like $2 or $3, but
free within app purchases. I'm just saying that. That's
right.
Talking about man.
And they make Windows too.
Yeah, and I actually use that for the, when I first got the Insta360. So for anybody that doesn't know, back in January when the Insta360 came out, they were advertising, they had the 4K mod, had 4K at 100 megabits per second.
Right.
But when I loaded it into that software, it wasn't 100 megabits per second. And I asked them about that. And they were like, oh, it's coming with a future update. I'm like, but you advertised it as having 100 megabits per second. And it doesn't. But they eventually did get up there. But see, these companies do shady stuff. You got to call them out on it.
Right.
And they put it in that advertising. They're the ones making it prominent. And then, of course, you're looking for it. If it says HDR 10-bit, I want it.
Right, exactly. And, with the Evo 2 Pro, they had that plastered on a couple of different spots. So,
well, and Skydio, they pulled the same shit when it was really HDR effect as opposed to actual HDR.
Oh, yeah. I can't stand that.
Yep. If you're not seeing HLG picture profile or some kind of log profile in 10-bit, it's not true HDR.
Yeah. I mean, Ethan, what outside of the Mavic 2 Pro, is there another consumer drone that has real HDR?
Yeah.
I mean, supposedly the Evo 2 Pro, supposedly.
Right.
But it's surprising that they didn't put an HLG profile on it, because that kind of just seamlessly works with HDR really, really well.
What doesn't have the HLG?
The Evo 2 Pro doesn't have HLG.
Okay. Yeah. That's a bad sign right there.
Yeah, it just got logged.
Real quick update: Media Info's 99 cents on the Apple App Store.
99 cents.
99 cents.
Yeah, I thought it was a couple bucks.
Well, it may have been free when you bought it, but maybe they now.
I think I paid for it.
And you got to throw them a buck now.
It says, please donate to support the development. Does that mean? Because at the bottom it says it's an open source license.
That means donate 99 cents.
Well, the EXIF tool is free.
Chris Hope.
So it does have in-app purchases. It really does.
So Hot Rod and
Awesome. That TBS Crown Jewels really feel so much better.
Much better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they feel way better. Look at that. You get really good grip on your thumb.
Do you need some alone time, or are you already at the smoke a cigarette stage?
What are you talking about?
Why are the knobs all sticky?
Yeah. So Hot Rod and Daytona, so he says he shoots in HDR on the Evo 2 Pro. And so that's kind of what we were alluding to, all these drones and action cameras have HDR, and it's AEB. I mean it's technically like a bracketing technique that they're using. Basically, it's like an under and over underexposed image that they're showing you, and they're blending it together in the video, so you get that kind of HDR effect where you can see shadows and you can see the highlights. Everything's exposed just right. But what we're talking about is true HDR, where you actually get the luminance value and the additional color of 10-bit. And just like you would see Netflix has.
Yeah. And there's a lot more devices out there that have the HDR filter effect than has real HDR. I mean, it's not even close. There's probably 100 things out there that says they have HDR, and it's just a filter effect. And it's 2 or 3 things that actually have the real HDR.
Right.
Have I missed this? Has Chris Hope started flying FPV?
Tiny Whoop 2. Tiny Hawk 2.
Tiny Hawk. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's That's okay. When you get when you get a 5-inch and you really start tearing stuff up, then. But yeah, that's Ron. I don't understand. You couldn't do a tiny hawk.
Well, I never got to the point when I got in the air. I could never get it bound with my controller. You can't fly if you can't bind. Hey, I should have. That sounds like the T-shirt, John.
Yeah.
Or I got an idea. Combo package, bind and fly. What do you think?
Hey, that's a novel idea.
Ron, you come down here where I am, and you'll be whooping the McDonald's arches in no time. I'll have you all hooked up in like
you could bind it up, huh?
Just give me a couple weeks.
Wait, he's alive. The birthday boy is alive. All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Who are we saying happy birthday to?
Johnny.
Oh my God. It's my birthday.
And he didn't get blown away either, did he? Right.
No.
Nice.
No, I don't think so.
Wasn't he down in Hurricane Lake?
Drone flyers in Louisiana, but he didn't get blown away.
Yeah.
He has a vacation condo on the Alabama coast, and it got blown away.
Oh,
that's bad. That's terrible.
He got happy. Wait a minute. He got don't quit your day jobs. Oh, thank you.
Oh wow, fantastic.
Oh, we're famous.
Like our singing.
We're famous drone tech YouTube TV specialists.
I'm sorry. It makes me sad for him to say that. I was thinking we could start up a band, make it big.
Absolutely.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, the thing about it is with Ethan as our editor, we could do anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And in HDR too. True 10-bit color.
And speaking of HDR, so for these guys in the chat that are, so I made a video that kind of explains all this. I just posted a link in the chat. If you guys want to check it out. It's lengthy. It's not very fun to watch, but it's educational.
I think it's the one that's in the description too, isn't it?
It could be.
I'll tell you what, if you want to see what HDR isn't, go ahead and get my program called CyberLink Power Director 18, which has nothing to do with HDR. It's called HDR Effect.
I'm done with hit film too now.
Really?
I'm so pissed off.
As long as I've been with hit film, I'm probably going to keep this particular one that I'm allowed to have all the updates for and everything, but I'm not upgrading again this year because they, all the newer drones all are running H.265, and hit film just doesn't handle it. So it's like a waste for me to upgrade one and then not be able to do anything really with it. Like I had to convert the Skydio footage from HEVC to standard MPEG-4 just to pull it into, and I'm like, man, I'm not going to do that anymore. So it's all stored here, and you already know, Ethan, I'm going to start playing with it on the Apple. And I'll load up Ethan's video here, and I'll put the Apple here, and I'll be like, play, pause, and I'll work over here, play, pause.
Mm-hmm. And High Rod Daytona, if you like, DaVinci is supposed to be one of the best editors for HDR too. So if you learn how to like export and color grade in HDR, so basically when you do that and you upload it to YouTube, basically anybody with like an HDR device, which is almost all new cell phones these days, they'll actually click over to HDR mode on the screen. It'll be so much more brighter and vibrant. I mean, it's a huge difference between regular like video and HDR video. And if you're a DaVinci user, I mean, I think they say DaVinci is supposed to be the best for it. So it's definitely something to look into.
Buying the dongle because I need to upgrade my computer soon.
Right.
So I'm getting the DaVinci dongle instead of the download to just activate it.
So here's another video that this is like no music or anything to it. This is just something I was playing around with. But if you click on that and you have one of the HDR devices and you open it in YouTube, YouTube will click over to HDR and you can see it's got the Mavic 2 Pro. It's got the Mavic Air 2 in true HDR, which actually does pretty good. and the Fujifilm X-T4, which is low light capability. I'm shooting some fire at night with it. So it's actually really, really, really impressive when it's in HDR.
Wow.
When I first got the Mavic 2 Pro, my neighbor had this big bonfire going, and I was trying to video that. I didn't do well at all.
Yes, filming at night is really, really challenging. I don't think the exposure is challenging. Getting the focus right is challenging.
Right. That's always the problem.
Yeah, manual focus is the way to go, and sheer luck.
Right. A lot of wishing. Hey, Ethan, I got a quick question for you about the GH5 on Apple. When I take the memory card out of GH5 for video, I mean, pictures no problem for video, and I stick the memory card in back of the iMac, and I bring the files. So most video files, even 10-bit off the Mavic 2 Pro, I mean, they'll just play right. The QuickTime will just play a little preview for me, and I can see what they look like. But they won't coming off here. Like the QuickTime won't give me a little preview. I have to take them in the Final Cut before I can actually view them. Is there any workaround for that?
Yeah, not that I know of. Whatever metadata or whatever tags that camera puts on those files, QuickTime doesn't like. I don't know why.
Gotcha. So,
but yeah, I have the same problem.
I want to ask Jim a question, or Hot Rod in Daytona. What's the difference in an activation and a dongle for DaVinci?
Oh, you can just take it to another computer. If you're just activated on one computer, you can't go use it on another computer. But this computer is 2 years old already, so I'm going to have the dongle so I can just move it to a new desktop.
Makes
That's
sense.
all.
Yeah, I've actually, if it depends on if I get any more involved with HDR content and whatnot, I'll probably switch over to DaVinci, because with DaVinci you can even get Dolby Vision software and it's a plugin with DaVinci Resolve, and HDR in Dolby Vision is supposed to be like jaw-droppingly good.
Wow.
But I think you need a camera that can shoot 12 or 16-bit color to really get the full effect out of it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know my TV, which is a Sony Bravia, can't do Dolby Vision. It does HDR10 plus.
Yeah,
but it can't do Dolby Vision.
Yeah, so HDR10 and HDR10 plus is kind of like what they would call open source HDR, but PQ is kind of like open source / Dolby Vision, and then you have Dolby Vision, which is not open source. You got to pay for it. You got to have a special license to even edit in Dolby Vision. But
which is wild because it has the Dolby Digital Audio Plus,
Right.
So
it's got the audio spot.
Right. Like if you paid for that licensing, why didn't you just pay for the Dolby Vision license? I don't think it was popular a year or two ago.
Yeah, Dolby Vision. I think because so many people are watching stuff on their mobile devices now. Just recently, I would say within the past year and a half, have mobile devices had displays that are capable of doing HDR now. And I really think we're at the dawn of it getting ready to take off. Like everybody, kind of like back when 1080p going into 4K, everybody's like, why do you need 4K? 1080p is just fine, blah, 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 blah. I think that's what we're seeing right now. And from what I've seen personally, the 10-bit HDR stuff is a way more bigger deal than 5K, 6K, 8K. You can see a noticeable, huge difference between HDR 10-bit, 10-bit colors in HDR then versus standard definition and 6K,
It's just a huge difference when you're playing with the logged footage and trying the real HDR on it. It's like, wow,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know I could do that. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they have with that.
DaVinci Studio 16 is the one that does the HDR, and there's something you got to click. I forget that. But you can get DaVinci Resolve free and start learning to play with it that way.
Yep. I had it once upon a time, and the way, and I haven't got the newer version. I think I've tried it when it was 14, and they had the node system,
It's still
got it.
It's still not
like that kind of just threw me off. I need to spend some time with it. But
you're playing Blender.
Yeah, I've been using Final Cut for so long, and it's hard to learn something else.
The nodes are a little bit to get used to. I've been using DaVinci since it was just a color correcting tool and not
really
a full-fledged editor. Yeah.
So we can go to you,
but I've since switched to Final Cut, and I don't use it anymore.
Okay.
No, we're just he already put his foot out there. We're just gonna turn to Ron now. No matter Ron. All right.
It's night and day between that and other ones like Hit Film and Cyberlink Power Director and all. Power Director is so damn easy. It's why I went.
Oh yeah, I use Power Director on my mobile stuff just because it's quick, easy.
Ridiculously easy.
Yeah.
To do the titling and transitions, everything. Boom.
Yep. I think the best one for mobile stuff is I forget what it's called, but it was too complicated. I'm trying to think of what it was called.
I hated flowcharts. I'm just letting you know. I hated flowcharts.
Hot Rod is right. The nodes do remind you of like something from the 80s. He's right.
Well, but I'm just thinking I hated. Remember, you had to have the template. I mean, you remember the template? You guys remember the template, the flowchart template?
Mm-hmm.
Doing flowcharts.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I didn't like flowcharts. I didn't like the accounting class. Anyway, but remember what go ahead.
I was going to say, like, even the videos that I've watched when I try to learn it, they're like just the way they're using the nodes and whatnot. It didn't make any sense to me. So I would love to learn it, but I would just need to start from like scratch because I've dabbled with Premiere, and if you have any kind of experience with like Final Cut, you could fumble your way through Premiere. It's very similar. But
here's the good news, Ethan. There's more DaVinci Resolve tutorials on YouTube than probably any other tutorial. There's millions of them there.
Right.
Good one.
Right.
I was watching the Black Magic tutorials, and the way that lady was doing it, before she did anything, she started out with a node just to bring the highlights down. Then she would label that, then move on to another node before she started doing the subsampling.
So is a node like a layer almost?
Pretty much, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. She brings down the highlights, brings up the contrast, and then goes on to another node to do the colors.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty much a layer, you would think of it as.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really, and Final Cut keeps on updating their stuff in Apple, so who knows what they're going to do. I'm waiting for an XDR monitor to come to a reasonable price.
What's a reasonable price?
Like something under $1,000 would be nice.
Right.
I mean,
I saw that BenQ 27-inch for like $1,500. Have you seen that?
Only.
So here's the problem that Apple but it's classical Apple, right? This is what they do. So Final Cut has the ability to edit HDR. Final Cut has the ability to display HDR, but you have to have their HDR monitor for Final Cut to push it out, or else it doesn't put out an HDR signal. So like back in Baltimore, I have a HDR monitor. It was I think it was Samsung or LG or something, but it's a 4K HDR monitor, and I plug it into my MacBook. My MacBook doesn't output an HDR signal to the monitor, so the monitor won't flip over to HDR.
What a surprise! Apple won't be nice with hardware that's not theirs. What a shame!
But if you watch my video, I got a workaround for that. But it's still kind of like classic Apple, But I will say, as much as that stuff
workaround that people need to use, kind of like the workaround people need to use to get regular USB devices on their MacBook Pro 2019, because we're not all on USB-C yet, but Apple thinks you are.
Yeah, Apple thinks you should be.
We're pushing the 2-hour limit here.
Even that was funny when the MacBook showed up. She was like, "Where's the USB ports?" And I'm like, "Where have you been?" I'm like, "Where have you been? There are none." She said, "Well, how am I supposed to use any of my stuff?" I said, "Welcome to Apple. Go and buy your dongle."
I remember when I first got this damn thing, I had to buy a bunch of these. I was like, "Are you serious?" Right? But it is what it is.
Or that hub. Yeah, you wouldn't have enough You wouldn't have enough hubs for me. I got the mic in there, the camera in there, the SSD card in there.
Right. Well,
I couldn't do Apple.
She's got the hub that plugs into one of the sides, and it's got a card reader in it. It's got multiple USB ports, and she basically has a laptop that has a giant wart of a friggin' adapter coming out of it.
Right. Well, I had so going through college, I went through 4 PCs in like 6 months. Just because I had issue after issue after issue, and both my brothers have MacBooks, and they had them for years with no issues. So that's what sold me, and I've just had them ever since, and they've lasted ever since. And unfortunately,
guys, that's what ours looks like.
Yeah. What is that one of Apple's fantastic little?
No, it's a third-party one with all the ports that you should have.
Right, exactly.
You can make your own full-size SD card, 3 USB-A's, a HDMI out, and a USB-C, I think.
I'm just messing. I'm just messing.
SD card. 2 of these daisy chain them and have more ports.
Hey, and on top of it, the one that I have, you can't upgrade the RAM or the hard drive. They're soldered to the board.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah, that's unfortunately not uncommon for a lot of laptops these days.
Yeah. But I will say, Apple is just like DJI. Everything just works.
And by the way, iOS 14 dropped today. Anybody download it yet?
No, I haven't. Is that a good idea to do with all of our stuff? I mean, I wonder if it's been tested.
Well, that's always the $1 million question. That's why I asked it.
Oh, see, I'm going to hold off. I don't want to.
Got that video coming out right after this.
Yeah, exactly. Got that coming up next.
I got that. Well, tell you what you do. If you have more than one iOS device, like don't do it on your phone, which may be your crucial device, but take an iPad or an iPad Mini or something later on and put it on there.
I wonder if they pushed it to the Mini 4. You think they pushed that to the Mini 4s or 2.0?
I bet you the Mini 4 can handle it.
I don't know. I got the Mini 4.
Bet you the Mini 4
behind, right there. I haven't checked it though.
Yep. Yeah, I bet you can handle the update.
I've never had an Apple product not do well after an update. So,
well,
I have.
Older products sometimes don't do well after an update.
Like my iPhone 4. Like my iPhone 4, I really regretted updating to iOS 7. It just really couldn't handle it.
This is the 4.
And can you roll it
back? I mean, here's the thing about rolling back. You can only roll back as long as Apple is still signing the old version of iOS. They're pretty quick about getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
They do that because of the jailbreakers. They don't want the jailbreakers to go back and use the old versions.
Right. I gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So going back is iffy. You don't have a big window to figure out if you want to go back or not.
Listen, I remember when DJI Go 4. Well, I had bought the NVIDIA Shield because it had the better RAM on it and all that.
I remember that.
And if you updated past Android 5.1, you got screwed because Android 7 wouldn't even. The screen would turn green and all. Remember the banding? Like you're losing a signal. That's why even the Crystal Sky is Android 5.1.
And that's the exact reason what worried me about getting a smart controller.
Yep. Can't use it for anything else.
Is the Android based, and if DJI kept that app, like the DJI app, just the way it was and it worked, that'd be fine. But they're always updating. Maybe now that they got the Fly app, maybe they'll leave the Go 4 alone, so it stays working properly on the controller, smart controller. So we'll see. I'm curious to see how they handle that.
What's really unfortunate is, again, we talked about it before, that smart controller is stuck at 32-bit, right? So who knows when the hell we're going to see the Fly app for there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We've been almost, like I said, almost 2 hours. We've had some good discussion. How about this? Why don't we'll make next week an HDR week, and we'll talk about different ways of softwares getting HDR and how you go about getting HDR, Basically, Ethan will tell us how to do HDR next week.
So I better make sure that I actually do some HDR footage from my Mac.
Yeah, because I'm going to experiment. As Ethan knows now, I have Final Cut Pro, so I'm going to be experimenting some with the footage that I have.
Wait. When did you get Final Cut Pro?
What do you mean? When did I get Final Cut Pro?
When he got the MacBook.
When he got that shiny new MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill's a Mac user now. He's getting rid of Windows. He's going all Apple.
I'm not getting rid of Windows, no.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Everybody gets the Mac, goes toward the Mac.
DaVinci works on Mac too, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh, wow.
Everything works on the Mac. According to Ethan, it just works. I mean, why would you stick with Windows? Why would you use Windows anymore?
All right.
You can use Final Cut. You can use Premiere. You can use Adobe. Or you can use DaVinci.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the only Microsofty in here, besides Jim.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? Microsoft actually offers a really damn solid laptop that rivals the MacBook Pro. Their Surface Book series is actually a pretty damn good laptop. That's what I use, and it's right up there in terms of features and all that other stuff. They do a pretty damn good job with that.
John's link will be down below if anybody wants to purchase one.
Yeah, the affiliate link, Microsoft.com. You know what?
I just want to be able to upgrade. Like I put 32 gigs of RAM in here, like it's nothing. You can change that, put an SSD hard drive in, boom, 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 boom.
That's what I wish. And you know what? Again, sadly, Microsoft decided to go the same way that Apple did. None of their laptops are upgradable. You're stuck with 16 gigs. You're stuck with the 512 or whatever. I mean,
that really sucks too.
But that's the general trend, though, with this stuff is that it's cheaper and cheaper and thinner, and it makes it less upgradable. But hey, at least the SSD is not soldered in there, and I can put it in a standard drive caddy or drive bay and get the information on it. Because right now, I still have a MacBook Pro 2016. I can't get to the data on because Apple and their proprietary crap keeps me from getting to it. Well, what's Jim got there?
You can still always use SSD ports. These are it's an accessory. You put the SSD in here. See, it just slides right in, and then you plug it into USB-C.
Right now, is that for an Apple specific SSD?
No, it's for the Evo 970. Samsung 970.
Here's the problem, Jim. Apple has a completely different pinout for their SSDs. You can't just use a standard adapter like that. You have to find another MacBook Pro that will accept it, or you have to take a risk and buy a sketchy third-party adapter made specifically for Apple SSDs for like $100.
Ron has one. Ron, you just showed us one. Is it working? That adapter?
Oh,
I'm talking about pulling I'm talking about, let's say you have a laptop that's failed, like the one here at home. It failed. It fell off the desk or whatever. Cat knocked it down.
For a minute.
Cat knocked it off the thing. Can't get it to turn on now. We need the data off of it. But the problem is, even though I can pull the SSD out, it's not soldered in there. In 2016, for at least the first half of the year, the SSD was not soldered. I can't put that into anything and have it be read because Apple has a custom pinout for their SSDs. You cannot just put it in a standard reader or anything. You have to either acquire another MacBook Pro and then plug it in and get the data that way, or you have to buy these sketchy third-party readers, and they're like $100. They're like anywhere between $100 to $150.
And you don't know if it's going to work.
SSD. And you don't know if it's going to work. There's like a compatibility list, and they say you got to be careful, and it's a huge pain in the ass.
Well, John, let me ask you a key question. Why don't you just download that data from your Apple iCloud backup?
She didn't back it up.
Oh, you're not a firm believer in your household and backing up your...
I am a firm believer. I told her, I said, we have a 10 terabyte NAS in the house, and you didn't back up anything? You know what we're going to have to do? What I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably going to end up shipping the MacBook out to the guy in New York City who repairs the Apple. You ever hear of him?
Yeah, Les Grossman.
Yeah, if he can repair it for $300, I think that would probably be worth it rather than paying $100 for a dongle that might work and then you're still out an Apple computer. I mean,
Yeah.
if you could repair it, that would be much better. That would be much better. And I can keep the data here at home too, and not worry about having to mail it out.
Hey, John, we gotta let Ethan roll here. He's got to get out of here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I kind of went on an Apple rant there.
Ethan, he had a lot of good information tonight, and thanks for joining us, Ethan. And we will see you next week for the big car show.
Yeah, man, it's good to see everybody. Good chatting with everybody, and I will see you guys next week.
Peace out.
Good night.
Night, Ethan.
So I guess we'll start our good nights here. I think Bill's wanting to end this too, so I'll go first, and then I'll pass it to John. I want to thank everybody in chat for joining us tonight. We had a great discussion today. We kind of jumped around, talked about a lot of topics, but I think we really got into depth and got some information out there on a lot of topics, including HDRs and video editors. So I mean, I thought it was a good informational show. So again. I'm sorry I was late.
Wait a minute. I go pee and I come back and Ethan's gone. What the shit?
I'm wrapping the show up, Bill, for you. So I'm going to say my good nights. I'm going to pass it to my good friend John Cuppi to say his good nights.
Thank you, Ron. It's been a great show. The chat's been great as always. Curtis just came in. Well, Curtis, it's an excellent show. It's good to have you here. I hope you're staying safe amidst all the crazy fires there. But yeah, anyway, good show, guys. As always, good to hang out with you. We had a great discussion.
Well, wait, private chat.
Like Bill says, free the drones. And I'm gonna throw it down to this guy here.
Give me a
Bill,
second.
that smoke you showed, how can that not affect your videos or your pictures? That's pretty damn heavy.
Well, see, the thing about that's what I don't know. There's a bunch of different circumstances. Because I was in such a hurry and I didn't know how to use the Apple that well, so I was transferring files off of, using this to get. And then I was transferring them over to the DJI drive, so that I would have them, so that I could do something with them later. And then when I got to looking at them, I was noticing that they were really, grainy, almost like a lot of noise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it really shouldn't look. It should, like, you could tell that was smoke. Like,
no, it wasn't. That's what I'm worried about, and I'm afraid something's up with the sensor that I'm not noticing or I haven't seen. So and I'm afraid. What I'm afraid of is I don't know for sure if it's the Mavic Air 2 or if it's the Mavic 2 Pro. So I need to. But what's so crappy is we've had such shitty weather. I haven't been able to really do any testing. I mean, I could try inside, I guess. Just see how it records inside, see if it's really grainy. But unless I got the lights like all turned on and it looks like midday sun, it's gonna look like I'm gonna get grainy. You know how it looks when it's low light? You know what I mean? When it's low light and the pixelation that way, that's what it tends to look like.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. That's too much.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't like that. So I don't know if it may have been a combination of I had it in D-Cine and I was shooting in, H.265 and, all of that maybe, or I'll have to put it on something that will actually handle the H.265, because on my machine, my basic Windows player wouldn't handle it. It would play a little bit. And so I actually had to go get VLC player to be able to watch it, and actually see what it looked like.
Yeah, a lot of things support it. Yep. A lot of things just don't have, and that also comes down to our devices just not even having hardware acceleration for X265, which is a shame because you could save so much space with it. But
I have turned around. I with Power Director, I have even pre-rendered all the videos, and when I go and play them, they still stutter a little bit. I mean, because it depends on your software. The software is using the damn CPU instead of the GPU.
Yeah.
To play it. So, but you said you could get it playing in VLC, no problem.
If I was going to see if I could share it with you guys, but if I'm running this and I'm trying to play it, no. But if it's just doing that, yeah, okay. Next week we're going to do software and HDR Jim, you're welcome to come back again next week. And in the week after that, Ron's already took off, and he didn't get to let me say it. Ron and I will be hosting the Support Your Local Drone channel at the end of the month. I hope he is still up with me on that page. So everybody said their good evenings and everything. And I want to say thank you to everybody for coming in. Come back next week for some more software and some more HDR. And with that, live long and prosper.